I'm going to talk to you guys about the bubble. Because you see, that's what I've been calling it, the bubble. Now, in shorts in the past, I have mentioned that I am tracking Mandela effects, time shifts, anomalies, and I have been tracking them for years. Now, here's something that's interesting, is that there was a 4-day on the Schumann resonance, and during that time period, a whole bunch of people who had these devices that pick up on anomalies all went off at the same time. I believe this was on September 16th. And we were having lots of solar flares and everything. One of the things I can tell you is I've noticed that time shifts or time bubbles or Mandela effects tend to follow very closely to a lot of solar activity. So I believe the sun itself is sending pulses and waves through this planet and shifting time and creating portals and opening ways. So let's talk about the bubble, because this one was pretty amazing. And I'm also going to tell you other stories of other things I've seen. I just haven't gotten around to it, but I'm starting with the bubble. And the bubble was the most distinct and wild I have experienced in a long time. So what was happening? I'm driving a 22-hour drive to go do ceremony for healing and reparations. And that's a story for another day, which I will also cover because it is important and beautiful. And I am in the middle of nowhere, surrounded east, south, west, north by cornfields. Miles and miles of cornfields. Somewhere in the middle of Iowa. And I listen to the radio. I listen to the radio all the time. It's my thing. It just keeps me energetic when I'm driving. And I've cross that border where one of the stations that you were just on crackles out, and then you're on to the next station as you enter the new township. And so now I'm listening to this rock and roll station. And it is the 20th of September that I'm driving. And the radio personality, says to everybody, happy autumn equinox, happy September 21st. I'm like, what? Come again? What? Today's the 20th. Like, did I get abducted? Am I missing a day? What the hell's going on? I continue to listen to the station. They're having a Oktoberfest. They're having a beer drinking contest. And they continue to talk about it being the 21st. So it's not just when she mentioned it in that point where she was talking about the fact that it was a rare one, that there was a planetary alignment that wasn't going to happen again until 2099. And I was like, okay, seems like a very progressive radio station since we're talking about planetary alignments and stuff. And regardless, I was sucked in listening to the radio, listening to this festival, listening to these people being interviewed. And the more I'm listening, the more I realize that they're on a different timeline. Different kinds of history is taking place here, right? Like suddenly it's dawning on me. I have driven into a bubble. I have pierced the bubble and I'm inside of that bubble. And it is one day ahead, still in 2022. But they're not just one day ahead. They're worlds ahead in how they're handling things. They have Reiki as standard. They were talking about the fact that you could have your Reiki sessions fully covered by your insurance, and that they had fantastic Reiki practitioners at the hospital for whatever may ail you. And I was like, it's like, do I have wax in my ears? I mean, this is a standard hospital. This isn't a holistic center. As a California native, I'm used to Californian advertisements around holistic centers saying, hey, come get a Reiki session. But this is the first time I've ever heard a local hospital announcing it and telling you how it's covered by insurance and how it will pretty much handle what ails you and whatever else that the Reiki can't help you either speed heal through or help you resolve. They have fantastic doctors on hand for that need if it's surgical, right? Then they get onto other subjects. They're talking about the local mystic who is going to come and read everybody. And this is again in the middle of nowhere. And it was just like, what? I finally pull off to go freshen up at a gas station, and I wanted papers or anything at all that stated the date, and in fact it was the 21st. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to live with the fact that it's the 21st, and I don't know if this is a permanent portal or what. But this is why I call it the bubble, is because as soon as I popped out the other side of the bubble, it was the 20th again. And it was really funny too, because, you know, the radio station went out and the next radio station comes in and the person's like, happy September 20th. Tomorrow's the autumn equinox, yada, yada, yada. I was like, oh, okay. Well, for some strange reason, I forgot about the bubble. And let me tell you, I think the reason why I forgot about the bubble is because I'm used to seeing these time anomalies taking place in general, right? So I wake up to an anomaly taking place, and then I wake up the next day and the anomaly is gone. So day to day or in the middle of the day, and it's almost impossible to know if you're in an anomaly if there isn't somebody talking about the date or you're not interacting with people or what have you. So there has to be some sort of worldly interaction to even make it clear that it's happening, right? I've turned around and I'm going home. I've forgotten completely all about it because I thought maybe it was just one of those anomalies because I have experienced them in the past, and trust me, it can be very intense. Like I said, we have future stories to tell you. But the reason why I'm even bothering to tell you this is because not many people are talking about it as a real thing, and I keep encountering it. So I know that other people out there, if it's you, chime in, are experiencing it. Regardless, I'm coming home, and it's Monday, and I'm driving along, and suddenly the radio says, come in to so-and-so for Taco Tuesday. And I'm like, Taco Tuesday? And I was like, it's Monday. I actually went through the same checklist, which was quite funny. I was like, have I been abducted? Why am I missing a day? What's going on? And I was like, oh shit, it's the same portal. I've entered the same bubble. And it was the same amount of time. It was roughly a 3.5 hour drive before I was out the other side of the bubble again. So it was the same. Although these things can actually move. So if somebody else drives straight through Iowa and they never run into the bubble, I don't know what to tell you because they move. They literally do open and close. But it was still there when I was coming through, and it was so disorienting. So when I came out the other side and they're like, happy Monday, I was like, oh my gosh. Now, with all that being said, I'll tell you the one weird thought that goes through my head. And I know you're like, weird thought? The whole thing was weird. Okay, the one weird thought that goes through my head is, I'm like, if I had spent the night inside that bubble, would I have moved with the bubble? And would I be trapped in a different civilization? I'll never know because I didn't spend the night in the bubble. Anyway, if you're not already subscribed, definitely subscribe to this channel. It will stay interesting. Sometimes there's going to be some rocky moments because I'm very much about protecting people and their best interests, which means that I can be quite the warrior for good, which doesn't always rub everybody the right way, but regardless, give me a try. If you don't like what I'm preaching about, you can always just skip to another video that's more fun for you. So subscribe, hit that bell icon so you know when I'm posting again. I do lots of shorts that are very helpful. And if you have experienced an anomaly, if you've moved through a bubble or you've walked through a portal or you're not even from this place and you came from somewhere else, comment below. Nothing you could say could truly shock me after the things I've seen. Have a good one and be blessed.